Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Shay Masterson. I am with the Office of National Scholarship Advisement, and I would like to welcome you to the Gilman Scholarship Information session this afternoon. So I am also joined by my colleague in the Global Education Office. If you want to introduce yourself briefly.
Yes, thank you. My name is Marie Roche. I'm an international coordinator with the Global Education Office here at ASU. I'm here representing our general office, but specifically coordinate our faculty-directed programs at GEO. And I'm excited to share more with you about what our office does.
Thank you, Marie. So what you will find is our office and Marie's office do work closely. And if you all are going to study abroad, you will work closely with both of our offices. So that's why we're both here with you this afternoon. So just to begin, our agenda for the next 45 minutes to an hour is we're going to do some brief introductions. You've already heard from us. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves in the chat as well in a moment. Then we're going to go over some general study abroad information from the Global Education Office. So Marie is here to share about that. Then I'll talk very briefly about what my office, the Office of National Scholarship Advisement, does. And then we'll go over in detail about the Gilman Scholarship, what it involves, the application information, and your next steps. Both if you're going to be studying abroad and if you're going to be applying to the Gilman Scholarship in order to study abroad, including the resources that my office and myself will provide to you through that process. Okay, so that's just our general overview for today. So for introductions, I'd like to just take a brief moment, and if everybody could type into the chat and share with us your target graduation year, so whether that's 2024, 2028, whatever the case may be, and if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? So your target graduation year and where you would want to go, top place in the world, without any limitation. So I'll give just one moment to see the responses come through in the chat. Great. So I'm seeing some soon graduates and some that are earlier on in their academic journey. A variety of places that folks want to go. It's wonderful. Somewhere cold. That's common, especially if you're actually attending school in Arizona right now. A lot of people want to go places where it's colder. Japan or Barcelona, Italy, Germany, a lot of Europe. Great. Wonderful. I love the variety of academic years we're seeing and locations that you want to visit. And hopefully some of you will get to visit those locations through study abroad and the Gilman Scholarship. So that is our introduction section. So I'm going to hand it over to Marie in the Global Education Office now for study abroad.
Awesome, thank you very much. All right, so I'm excited to share with you all about the Global Education Office. If you're attending this workshop, hopefully you've engaged with our office to some degree, seen our website, or at least heard of us on campus. If not, welcome, and you'll learn a lot about what we do today. If we're ready for the next slide, we can pop over. Great, thank you. So the Global Education Office is responsible for coordinating short-term, summer, semester, and full-year study, intern, and research programs for ASU students. So any of those countries that you listed in the chat today, you have some variety of options when it comes to study abroad. You could, be in Iceland for a short term or a semester, and we have lots of different programs that support each of those locations. So you have a lot of options, over 300 program options in more than 65 countries and online as well. And study abroad and all these global education experiences are really designed to help students grow academically, professionally, and personally. So what are some reasons when you think about a global education program or study abroad? What are some reasons that you want to do a program? You can just pop a couple quick words that come to mind for you in the chat. Why would you want to study abroad, or how would that benefit your academic experience? Become more cultured, good, yes, a great reason. Thesis research, wonderful, great opportunities to do research abroad. Flora and local scents and flavors of a different region, yes, that's great, especially combined with any research programs. We have a great one in Panama that does exactly that, biological studies as well. All right. Awesome. Well, we'll go on to the next slide and we'll kind of just talk about some of the general reasons that you might be interested in study abroad or a global education program. So main ones are to broaden your perspective of different countries and cultures. For many students, this might be their first time out of the country or their first time in the host country that they might be traveling to. So it's a great opportunity to experience that, whether it's an online environment or especially in person. To grow your independence and become an active learner. So studying abroad or engaging in a global education program can really challenge you to step outside of your comfort zone, to maybe do things you've never done before, navigate things in a different language that you're actively learning or have never learned before. And so this really gives you opportunities to engage with your content academically outside of the classroom and become more independent in general lifestyle practices and also your studies. Another great reason is you can be more competitive on today's global job market. So this is a really great experience to put on your resume or even just to share in an interview with prospective employers about what this experience looked like for you, how you grew as a student or as a professional. And a lot of study abroad experiences really shape students' academics, and also maybe they've engaged with a new culture or market that they might not have thought about engaging in before. So it can really set your resume or just your applications apart. So a lot of these are really great reasons that you put in the chat and are in addition to these reasons that you might want to consider going abroad. All right. So moving on, as we discussed, we have lots and lots of programs for you to think about, to choose from. So to break that down, we can provide different opportunities in all of these different areas. So you have a faculty-directed program, a partnership program, an exchange program, and also a global intensive experience. So to kind of briefly break down what each of these categories are, a faculty-directed program is a highly structured program that will enable you to travel abroad with 2 or more faculty from Arizona State University. So they'll kind of be your guides, they'll be your academic references, and oftentimes will be the very ones instructing the courses that you'll be taking abroad. So this is a really great program for students who might really thrive on that structure, who want to go with students from ASU abroad and really focus on a specialized academic subject. What's great about these, they're all ASU credits. So if you go on a faculty-directed program, you don't have to do any course equivalencies or transfers. These will all be applied directly to your ASU transcript as ASU credits. These programs tend to range anywhere from a month or more. The longest one is just over 8 weeks. So you have a lot of options there. If you're looking for a shorter term, a lot of these will take place during the summer, but we do have options that take place over the semester term as well. Our partnership programs are similar in the sense that you can have some structure. You're working with an organization that's based in the country you're traveling to, and you can still take classes that are relevant to your major. And the tuition and everything, we'll kind of get into that later, but this is for students who are interested in going on maybe some longer term semester programs abroad, or even up to a year. Exchanges is maybe what you might think about for a traditional study abroad experience. So you're actually going to go abroad as an exchange student and attend an international university and fully directly enroll in that university. So this is definitely more of an independent experience. You'll be traveling abroad, attending an international university as an international student. You'll need to often find your own housing and kind of just get to live daily life in that country. And this would be also a semester or a year-long program. And then we also have our global intensive experiences. So these are shorter in term. So these are a week to 2 week long programs. And as their name denotes, they're very intensive on an academic subject. So it's very busy schedule. You're probably going to be doing something every day with your cohort. You're going to be really engaging in the content that you're learning in the class associated with this program. And these are really great because they provide a lot of flexibility, especially if you might have a more demanding major or schedule that you just can't take a semester or summer off. So those are kind of some options. You can really dive deeper into what each of these programs look like as you look at different options for yourself, but that's just our overview. And we'll go ahead and transition to the next slide. So eligibility requirements, who can study abroad? This is a complex question because it does vary by program, but generally speaking, what you need to do to be eligible for a study abroad program is maintain a 2.0 minimum GPA. There's some programs where this GPA requirement is higher, and that's often reflective of the demands of the courses that you'll be taking. So you want to make sure you're academically situated to excel and succeed in the courses that you're enrolling in. Some of our programs require foreign language proficiency, and many do not. So for a lot of our faculty-directed programs, actually almost all of them, you don't need a foreign language proficiency unless you are specifically going on a language-oriented program. Our exchange programs, again, this could vary. You might have an option to take courses in English, or you might only have an option to take courses in the native language of that country. Some programs have prereq requirements. So if you're doing any faculty-directed programs or any other programs that we mentioned earlier, you might have to take a lot of those lower level courses, a 100 or 200 level. And if that is a requirement, a lot of you, as you mentioned, your graduation year might be farther down the line. It's great to really start looking at programs now so you can equip yourself and prepare for those courses that you need to take, so that by the time the application rolls around, you'll have those prereqs required satisfied. All right. So where can you go? A lot of you, I don't think I saw a country in the chat that we don't have a program for. So that just goes to say that you have lots and lots of options. In the context of the Gilman Scholarship, there are preferred non-traditional destinations for global education experiences. So we have those listed here on the left. So these are countries: Armenia, Argentina, India, Israel. We actually have really great and robust programs through our Global Education Office that students can engage in these non-traditional destinations. And all that means is even it's preferred, but the other options are still available to you, and you can still utilize Gilman funding, but it might just be more competitive because they're more common destinations that students will travel to on a global education program. So those are, the ones that you might think of when you think of study abroad: Germany, Ireland, Italy. And so when it comes to that, and we'll dive deeper into it, as you go into a more common study abroad location, it'll just be important to really craft your reason for going, how it ties into your academic and professional goals. And there's still really great reasons to go to each of these places. All right. So the biggest question that comes to mind for most students when they think about study abroad is, how much does it cost? And is this something that's a viable option for me? So we try to provide students with as much information as possible when it comes to what it costs to go abroad. So as we mentioned, there's so much, variety in what program you can choose. So I'll try to break out our two main ones with our faculty-directed and exchange program costs. So for your program type, if you're looking at each of these programs, some common terminology that you'll see is your tuition and program fee. So for a faculty-directed program, your tuition over the summer is included in the program fee. So this means you're not paying separate tuition. Whatever you see here on your program fee, let's say it's $5,000, that means your tuition for ASU is included in that cost. Your housing costs for faculty-directed programs are also bundled into that program fee, and so are your excursions. So when you see a program fee, and I know these are kind of hard to zoom into on the screen here, but those will be listed under your billable subtotals. So these billable subtotals are what is going to be posted to your ASU account. And that's really what you can utilize, what your financial aid office will see and what your scholarship officers will see as well as they're evaluating what it might cost for you to go abroad. What you see under the cost of living section, these are not always billable and not always posted to your account. In some instances, this could change, but for most of our programs, the cost of living is separate and students will need to budget for this outside of their program fee. So what does cost of living mean? It means your airfare. Most of all of our programs do not include international airfare. So that means that as you're going through budgeting for a program, you'll need to keep this cost in mind. For a lot of destinations, depending on where it is, this cost varies greatly. So if you're going to Mexico, it might look a lot cheaper to purchase airfare than it will to travel to Australia. And depending on what time you buy your tickets, this is a really flexible cost. Meals, this again depends on the structure of your program. Most of our programs will have some meals built in, like a welcome dinner or farewell dinner, but a lot of the time, especially on an exchange program, it's kind of just what's your lifestyle? Do you eat out every day? Do you like to cook at home? And that will also, be decided by the nature of your program. If you're staying in a hotel, living in an apartment, and how long you'll be there. But these are some costs that you might want to think about as you're budgeting for your program. Transportation, this looks like getting around in Ubers, getting to and from the airport, and other costs that you might expect, especially if you're there in a country for a longer amount of time. What does your daily transportation cost look like? What's great about the Gilman is that it does cover these costs that aren't necessarily billable or posted to your ASU account. So whatever costs that you have, we bundle that all together. This is the total cost of studying abroad, and Gilman can contribute to funds like your airfare or other related expenses to your program. All right. So one unique opportunity that students have for study abroad and global education programs is the Obama Scholarship. So if you are a recipient of the Obama Scholarship, they love to see students go abroad, and so they have designated funds to make this possible for you. So what you need in order to utilize these funds is 1 year of study completed before you go on your program. So even if you're a freshman this year, you're not yet, have that year down, you can start thinking about what program might interest you and when you might want to go abroad. The scholarship is available for 1 semester, and it has to be through a program the university sponsors. So it can't be an independent program that you might find outside of the university context. So awards are based on the cost of attendance. So kind of that breakdown that we saw earlier in the last slide, that's what they're going to use to calculate your award. And your study abroad semester counts towards your total semester funding. So with the Obama Scholarship, you can receive funds for 8 semesters. If you've exceeded that and you're on your 9th or anything outside of that range, you just wouldn't be able to use that if you studied abroad outside of that timeline. But I really encourage any recipient of the Obama Scholarship to contact the Financial Aid Scholarship Service Office to talk about what they can do with their funding and when they can use it, and really start those conversations early. Similarly, if you receive a tuition waiver, if you have a Pell or university grants, or the New American University Scholarship, these are all sources of funding that you can use towards a study abroad program. And if you contact financial aid, they can really walk you through what sources are available to you, and also make sure to contact the Global Education Office as you're thinking about what programs you've narrowed it down, kind of where you want to go or what type of program you want to pursue. We can also direct you to the right person to contact and highlight some individual funding sources for you. All right. So we have some really great geo workshops, and everything that I mentioned today is in brief, but if you attend one of these workshops, what we do is we really dive deeper into the programs that we offer. So what are the differences between faculty directed and exchange programs? What might be the best fit for you as a student? If that's where you're at and you're like, whoa, I'm a little overwhelmed, there's a lot of programs, I really want to learn more about what might be the best fit for me, we have our Study Abroad 101, and that's every Wednesday and Friday, 2 to 3 p.m. If you're an in-person kind of attendee, you can come in person to our office, or if you want to join online like you are today, we have a hybrid option as well where we will have a Zoom room open. If you're coming in person, we're located in the Student Services building. So for those of you who are familiar with where Gamage is, we're right in front of Gamage, or by the ASU Shuttle bus stop. Our building is right there. It's the same building that Financial Aid is located, but we are going to be on the second floor, actually right across from Financial Aid. So if you need to stop by Financial Aid and our office, you can do it all in one go. But that's where our office is located. Our other workshop that I always encourage our students to attend is our Financing Your Geo program. So these take place every other Tuesday from 2 to 3 p.m. And these will really dive deeper into some of those scholarship or funding resources that I briefly mentioned today. The Obama Scholarship, it'll talk about our geo-specific opportunities, our Go Global grant, and our Diversity Scholarship, which are great awards to apply to in addition to a Gilman Scholarship or any other funding you might have available to you. These will be held, like I said, every other Tuesday, hybrid as well as in person. So if you are interested in those, I definitely encourage you to apply. Even if you're not sure what program you want to do, these are really great so you can start thinking ahead and planning for your global education experience. So if you're interested in learning more or just have any other questions that I didn't cover today, or you just want to talk to a peer advisor or someone more in depth here at the Global Education Office, you can scan this QR code and request more information, or you can email us at our email, goglobal@asu.edu. If you already know what program you want to do and you are ready to meet with your international coordinator, that's a great place to start. Even if you just know the region of the world you want to go to, we have international coordinators who will advise students on that as well. So never be afraid to ask questions. We are definitely here to support you in this process. As you navigate through all the different options you have, we really want to partner with you so you can find the best fit and make sure you are successful in your study abroad experience. Yeah.
Thank you, Marie. And also, if you are still trying to decide on a study abroad program, in addition to attending one of their workshops or contacting somebody in the Global Education Office, you should really spend some time on their website. There's a variety of resources, both for you and your parents on their website. But one of the things is that you can search for programs. So they have a database of the programs that are possible as an ESU student studying abroad. And you can search by if you have a specific country or region that you're interested in. You can see what programs are available to that destination. If you know you want to go over a particular term like summer or fall or spring break, you can search by that. So there's a variety of ways that you can search through the 300 or so programs that are available to you as an ASU student. And once you select one of those programs, it will break down all of that additional information about the program overview, the estimated costs of attendance, the any prerequisites that are required. All of that information is going to be provided there. So I strongly encourage you to spend some time doing that before directly contacting the Global Education Office or a specific international coordinator. And those coordinators will also be listed on the specific program information for the programs you're interested in, because it does vary depending on where you want to go and which program you want to apply for. All right. Thank you so much for that, Marie. I'm going to move into more about the Office of National Scholarship Advisement and the Gilman Scholarship specifically now. So again, as I shared at the beginning, I represent the Office of National Scholarship Advisement, which does work closely with the Global Education Office here at ASU, but we are two separate entities and what we do is a bit different. So what our office focuses on is supporting ASU students and alumni in applying for national and international awards. So these are external scholarships to ASU, and we just help you apply for them. So we do that by informing you on them, as well as supporting you through the application process. So we advise on about 100 different scholarships, Gilman being one of them. And of those scholarships, many of them are for studying abroad, like the Gilman Scholarship. Some of them are for language acquisition, both while studying abroad or while staying here and doing it in person in Arizona or virtually. Many of them involve research experiences, if that's something of interest to you. Some of those research experiences are domestic and some of them are also abroad. So even these other types of awards do sometimes overlap with studying abroad, and much, much more. So our office supports with more than just studying abroad, but these national scholarships provide a variety of experiences to you as a student or alumni, to enhance your academic and professional development and experience overall. So the way we do that is by information sessions like this, direct outreach to students who might be eligible for specific awards. We do one-on-one advising to help you understand better which awards we advise on that might benefit you based on who you are and what your goals are, because all of them are going to vary greatly in terms of who's eligible, who's most competitive, and what those awards actually provide. And then once you've decided on specific awards like the Gilman Scholarship to apply for and are in the application cycle for that award, we will give you guidance and feedback on your application materials, especially the written materials, which is usually what is the most time consuming on your part to apply for any of these scholarships. And it's what we spend the most of our time doing, is giving you that guidance and feedback as you write those application statements. For some awards, there are interviews as well. If there is an interview involved in your national scholarship application process, we will help you prepare for that. I put an asterisk here because it is not a part of the Gilman Scholarship. So I'm just saying that so you understand our overall support, not to be thinking that you'll have to do some kind of interview when it comes to applying for the Gilman Scholarship, though. So that gives you a basic idea of my role here at the university and within the Office of National Scholarship Advisement. We have a whole team of folks, but if you are working on the Gilman Scholarship, you will work directly with me. So what is the Gilman Scholarship? It is a generous scholarship that is funded by Congress and managed by the Institute for International Education within the U.S. Department of State. And the purpose of the Gilman Scholarship is to provide students who may not have otherwise had the opportunity to study abroad to do so. And in that, they want to expand the population that is typically represented in study abroad experiences. So they're interested in giving a more diverse representation to the world at large, in terms of who American students are at American institutions through that study abroad experience. So folks who are typically underrepresented in study abroad experiences include Pell Grant recipients, which is part of the eligibility for the Gilman Scholarship, which we'll talk a little bit more about momentarily, but also individuals who are from diverse backgrounds, who are underrepresented in their particular majors or fields of study, students from fields that are underrepresented in study abroad experiences. So that can be seen in multiple different directions. Individuals from racial or ethnic diverse backgrounds, individuals with immigrant backgrounds in their family, students with disabilities, students who are online or non-traditional or transfer students, are also underrepresented in study abroad experiences. So really part of the Gilman Scholarship, in addition to providing you with the opportunity to study abroad that you might not have had without having a scholarship like this, is also expanding who gets to study abroad in these various ways. And the reason that they're doing that is they want students to be able to go abroad and be a positive representation of the US and American citizens by building relationships and fostering understanding between US citizens and citizens from other countries. So that's really what the reason why the Gilman Scholarship exists is not just in general to help students study abroad, but to do so in a way that is going to help build relationships and understanding across cultures between the US and those who are abroad, which falls back in line with the US Department of State and their overall mission of diplomacy efforts. So in order to be eligible for the Gilman Scholarship, you must be a US citizen. And this is because it is funded by Congress and managed by the US Department of State. So that is a hard and fast requirement that is not within our control. It is just part of the eligibility that we must share. You also have to be an undergraduate student. So if you are going to be, if you have already completed your bachelor's degree or will be completing your bachelor's degree before your study abroad plans, then you would no longer be eligible for the Gilman Scholarship. And you have to be in good academic standing. If you're up for dismissal or on probation, that wouldn't qualify as good academic standing. And like I mentioned just a moment ago, you do have to be receiving a Pell Grant. This can be either in the term that you apply for the Gilman Scholarship and or in the term that you will be studying abroad. As long as in either of those terms, you would be a Pell Grant recipient, not just Pell Grant eligible, but actually receiving the Pell Grant, then you are eligible based on that factor. And finally, you have to be planning to attend a credit-bearing study abroad or internship program. So you do not have to transfer the credit back to ASU, although you should explore if that's possible for you and your academic plan. Because if you're taking classes or doing an internship that is credit bearing, why not see how the credit can actually apply towards your graduation plan if possible? But even if you're not going to transfer those credits, it does have to be a credit bearing program itself. And if you are selected for the Gilman Scholarship, you will receive up to $5,000 towards your study abroad program costs. And as Marie mentioned earlier, that includes not just the billable costs, meaning like the tuition and program fees associated with the study abroad, but also your airfare, your room and board, if that's not part of the program fees, your transportation within the country, if you still need your passport, if you need to pay for specific visas or vaccinations for your destination, all of that can be included in what is the Gilman Scholarship is applied to. There is potential for additional funding beyond the $5,000. And that is only if you are going to be studying a critical need language as identified by the Gilman Scholarship, which is provided on their website and in resources that you will have access to after you open an application from our office. And or if you are going to be doing STEM research as part of your study abroad experience. There are supplemental awards for both of those examples. And in total, you could be applying for up to $9,000 if both of those things apply to what you will be doing while you study abroad. And again, there's more detail on that on the website, as well as resources that I will share with you once you open an application for the Gilman Scholarship. All of the awards we advise on in ONSA, though, do provide more than just financial support. And in the case of the Gilman Scholarship, the additional benefits to receiving it include becoming part of the alumni network of both the Gilman Scholarship and the International Education program overall. And through those alumni network, you gain access to possible mentorship from other alumni. You gain information about exclusive job and internship opportunities as an alumni, as well as just ongoing events, workshops, and professional and leadership development experiences once you have been a Gilman Scholar. You also receive non-competitive eligibility for federal employment in the future. So once you've participated in your study abroad experience as a Gilman Scholar, and then afterwards, if you apply for a federal job that you are eligible for when you apply, it kind of bumps you to the top of that list in the applicant pool. That's what that non-competitive eligibility means. It doesn't guarantee you the position just because you've been a Gilman Scholar, but it does kind of help you get considered before many other applicants in that process. So like I said, there's some additional benefits once you're selected and participate in the program. Again, I am keeping an eye on the chat. So if you have questions, please feel free to type them into the chat at any point, and I will take questions at the end as well. So beyond being eligible, though, the Gilman Scholarship is highly selective. So not everybody who's eligible and applies actually receives the scholarship. So beyond just being eligible for the program, they are looking for these specific things in your application materials. So they want to know, what is the impact that your specific study abroad program and the destination or destinations of your study abroad program are going to have on you and your future goals. Okay, so you need to very directly align it with what your academic and professional goals are and how you're going to benefit, not just from studying abroad in general, but from studying abroad in that specific place and through that specific program. They also want to know, what is your impact going to be on the community that you visit while you are studying, and on your community once you return home as a student who has already had the study abroad experience as a Gilman Scholar. And that is done through a couple of different essays that we will provide additional resources and support to you once you are actively working on a Gilman application. So you're not alone in trying to figure out how to say all of this stuff in your application. Again, that's what my office and the resources I provide will help you with. They also want to know that you're prepared to be successful academically in your study abroad program. You do include your transcripts with your application, although that's not the only way they determine your academic preparedness. It's also through highlighting the skills and experience you already have that show that you have the capability of being adaptable and successful in your academic pursuits already, that will translate into the time that you spend abroad. Again, can be done through your statements, and we provide support on that. As I mentioned before, the Gilman Scholarship is interested in broadening or diversifying the student population who is represented in study abroad experiences. So they also want to hear about the diversity of your own background and experience as it relates to any underrepresented individuals within study abroad experiences. And then if you are going to be applying for the Supplemental Critical Need Language Award because you're studying one of the specified languages while abroad, they also want to hear about your commitment to obtaining that proficiency and continuing to use it in the future. Okay, so there has to be a direct alignment with your desire to learn the language and commitment and need to continue to use it in the future after your study abroad experience. I haven't added this because the STEM supplemental award is brand new, but if you were applying for that, you also are going to need to speak to your commitment to STEM research in your program and in the future. So sharing the details about that. And we break this all down further for you as you begin working on your Gilman application. So some application timelines to keep in mind. First off, you are going to have to apply for your specific study abroad program. So once you have identified, if you haven't already, the specific study abroad program you want to apply for, you want to be mindful of the application deadlines with the Global Education Office to apply for those specific programs. You can see them on the screen right now, and I will share these slides after today. Separately, you will need to apply for the Gilman Scholarship, okay? So the Gilman Scholarship is offered, the application is open 2 times per year. The current cycle is already open and will be due on October 5th. To apply in the current cycle, you need to be planning to study abroad sometime between December of this year and October of next year in terms of when your study abroad program will begin. Now, if you're looking at those dates and doing some mental calculations, you might notice that, for instance, if you are planning to study abroad next summer, so summer of 2024, right? The application deadline for that specific study abroad program is not until March. Those applications aren't even actually open yet right now in September, but you can already apply for the Gilman Scholarship during this current cycle. The thing with the Gilman Scholarship is you don't have to have already applied to or been accepted into your specific study abroad program. If you have, great. You don't have to though, but you do have to have already identified the specific study abroad program that you are going to apply for. Okay, the application materials are all going to expect that you have already identified a specific study abroad program, not just destination, but program that you will be applying for. So again, going to be critical for you to identify that program sooner rather than later. So once you start that application, you do not have to complete it all in one setting. You can open your application as soon as possible, and you'll be able to go back to it anytime up until, and as many times as you need to, up until the deadline on October 5th. Advisors will need to certify your application, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but that deadline is 1 week after the student deadline. And then you will be notified in December whether you've been selected for the award or not. So I mentioned before, you can study abroad anytime between December of this year and October of next year and be eligible to apply for the Gilman Scholarship in the current cycle. But you will also be notified in December of whether you've received the scholarship or not. So if you are planning like a winter break study abroad program and applying for Gilman now, that is cutting a little close in terms of when you'll know whether you'll get the funding or not, but it is completely feasible and allowed. It just means some planning and negotiating that you'll have to do on your own financially and being committed to the program before you know whether you're going to get the Gilman Scholarship or not. So a few notes about that certification. So there are 2 individuals who will need to certify your application after you've submitted it. There's your study abroad advisor, who is going to be the international coordinator who's designated for the specific study abroad program that you have applied to or plan to apply to for the Gilman Scholarship. Again, that information is provided on the program overview on the Global Education Office website. If by chance you are doing a non-ASU study abroad program and applying for the Gilman Scholarship to help fund it, then you will select myself as your study abroad advisor. If you select the wrong one or are unsure, you can always reach out to me and I can help navigate that for you though. You will also select a financial aid advisor to certify your application. There are two options that are provided in the portal. It does not matter who you select for your financial aid advisor, and you do not need to contact that individual or meet with that individual before you submit your Gilman application. The only thing you need to do is submit a consent to release form. This is a financial aid form that's provided on the link that's on this page, as well as through the QR code that's provided on this page. And again, these slides will be shared out via email tomorrow. So if you're not catching it right now, you'll have a chance to get access to it as well. But you will need to submit that form ideally before you've submitted your Gilman application, just so processing time doesn't delay them certifying your application after the fact. I will note that you are welcome to submit your Gilman application anytime before October 5th. Just know that the financial aid advisor and the study abroad advisor will probably not certify your application until after October 5th. And they do have a whole week after October 5th to certify that information. And they're really just going in and certifying that, yes, you are a student at ASU. Yes, you are a Pell Grant recipient. If you've indicated other financial aid that you're receiving towards your study abroad program, they'll confirm that that information is accurate. They'll confirm from the study abroad side that the information that you've provided about your study abroad program is also accurate. So it's not a lot that they're certifying, but they do certify that information, okay? So don't be alarmed if you submit early and your application hasn't been certified yet. They do have until October 12th. So next steps and resources available to you as you apply for the Gilman Scholarship. First and foremost, you need to select a study abroad program if you have not already. That is not something that I can help you with. That is something that you will need to explore through the Global Education Office resources that we spoke about earlier. You also want to open a Gilman application. That will be done directly through the Gilman Scholarship website. And once you have opened a Gilman application, I will invite you to the ONSA Canvas page, which has a variety of resources available to help you determine what to include in those various statements to make sure you're telling the Gilman Selection Committee that you meet those selection criteria that I mentioned earlier, okay? So they're going to be looking at those statements to determine your academic preparedness, that you've selected a study abroad program and destination that's going to have a positive impact on you and your future goals, that you will have a positive impact on the community that you are visiting while you are abroad to build mutual understanding between the US and other countries, okay? So that Canvas page outlines all of those details for you, and you will get invited to it once you have opened a Gilman application. You are also welcome to schedule an intake appointment, a Gilman Scholarship intake appointment with myself to start brainstorming and exploring the things that you may want to talk about in your various statements that you'll write for the Gilman application. Those appointments are for up to 4 students. So you may be with just me and we might be one-on-one, but you might be with other students and might be doing it in a small group setting as well. And those appointments are all done virtually for that reason. You can also schedule a draft review appointment, a Gilman Scholarship draft review appointment with me once you have at least one draft of at least one of your statements done so that you can get feedback on what you've completed so far. And finally, you can email what you've been working on for your statements to me at any point through the process for feedback as well. So you can get feedback through a draft review appointment or through emailing it to me directly, okay? So those are all of these resources and next steps that I'm gonna recommend if you're going to study abroad and apply for the Gilman Scholarship. And yes, this presentation and all of the relevant links will be shared via email tomorrow. So if you do want to contact me for any questions or getting guidance, you'll get an email from me tomorrow, but also my email is on the screen. And to schedule an appointment with me, you'll go to our website, which is onsa.asu.edu, onsa.asu.edu. We shared the links for the Global Education Office earlier, or the QR code, excuse me, for the Global Education Office earlier. Here's the link for my website, and I will also include the Gilman Scholarship link. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I look forward to working with you as you work on your Gilman application.